Good evening and welcome to round 4 of the IFSC Speed World Cups of 2016. My name's Charlie Bosco and I'm coming to you live this evening from Villars in Switzerland.
Just 2 days after the end of the first Lead World Cup of the season in Chamonix, the IFSC competitors find themselves in the charming Swiss village of...
Apologies for that. Villars is home to 1,200 people. It sits at 1,253 metres above sea level and it sits in the Swiss canton of Vaud. It seemed initially that we'd brought the Chamonix weather with us. The rain seemed to follow us for the first few days, but I'm pleased to report that it has cleared up and we now have a beautiful evening here in Villars to enjoy this speed final, and the crowd are beginning to emerge into the huge square that the event will take place in. We have 16 men and 16 women taking part today. I'll run you down the starting order in just a second. In the women's competition, we have Julia Kaplina, Alexandra Elmer, Aurelia Saracen, Daria Khan, Alexandra Rudzinska, Elma Fleuret, Elena Markusheva, Patricia Chudziak, Anouk Gilbert, last week's winner in Chamonix, Nina Lack, Anna Tsiganova, Elizaveta Ivanova, Edita Ropek, Svetlana Motov-Ilova, Claudia Bukchek and Anna Brozek. They are the women who will be taking part in the series final. And then we can see the square here in Villars. We are just below the cable car that runs to the northern end of Villars Village Centre. And then we have our running order.
On va commencer par les filles. On est galant. On les aime, nos filles de l'international.
Last week's winner there, you see it, Anouk Gilbert.
Juste pour comprendre, la première, le meilleur chrono des qualifs rencontrera la 16e.
This is actually the full rundown of the qualification list. Remember that only the top 16 progress and will take part in this evening's final. In the men's competition, we will have Reza Aliposh-Shena, Marcin Zienski, Bassam Al-Wem, Libor Harosa, Daniel Boldyrev, Stanislav Kukorin,
à tous les bénévoles qui travaillent sur cette Coupe du Monde, encore une fois, bravo à Didier.
Vladislav Dulin, Dimitri Timofeev, Quentin Nambo, Leonardo Gontero, Konstantin Pavlenko, Guillaume Moreau, Arseny Bogomolov, and Georgi Artemonov. See the female athletes there. It's very much down jacket weather here in Villars. Absolutely freezing, but it beats the rain of Chamonix. We are out in the open, no umbrellas, no tents required. Female athletes and the male athletes now finish their warm-up, take their seats, ready to climb. Our first race this evening will be Julia Kaplina against Alexandra Elmer. Kaplina of Russia, Elmer of Austria.
Regardez leur regard, c'est comme en ski alpin, c'est exactement avant la même concentration qu'une descente. Là, ils sont en train de faire, de rentrer dans leur compète, de répéter la voix, travailler les intervalles.
So just to recap, the current world record for the 15-metre speed event that we run at the IFSC. In the men's event, it's 5.60 seconds. That was Daniel Boldyrev of Ukraine. And in the women's event, Julia Kaplina holds the record at 7.53 seconds. I should point out that this wall that we have this evening here in Villars is not certified as an official world record wall. So even if those times are beaten here this evening, they will not become new world records. I believe it has something to do with the panels. But the end result is that the world record cannot be broken here this evening. But just to give you some idea of what sort of times we can expect from these athletes. So we mentioned Yulia Kaplina twice already this evening, because she's taking part in this evening's final, and she is the current world record holder. She is also the current leader in the overall standings at the IFSC Speed World Cups 2016. She leads the way ahead of Alexandra Rudzinska. Anouk Jobert, who, as I say, won in Chamonix last week. Claudia Bukcek sits in 4th place. Anna Tsiganova is 5th. Ala Marenic is 6th. Nina Lack 7th. Aurelia Saracen 8th. Adita Ropek is 9th. And Punamasari Ita Trayana currently sits in 10th overall.
Elle a dû travailler la vitesse avec l'entraîneur de l'équipe de France, Sylvain Chapelle, pour
see the athletes there, as I say, they have completed their warm-up. Slight last-minute hold-up. Shouldn't imagine will affect the experienced competitors too much, but some of our young competitors might be made slightly nervous there. And there we see the stunning sunset we've got here in Villars. As I say, we arrived yesterday and we brought the Chamonix weather with us. It cleared up overnight. No one could quite believe their eyes when they opened the curtains this morning. Mountains were snow covered, the sky was blue. All was well with the world. I think most people had only just dried out from Chamonix 2 days ago.
Le but de leur vie, c'est d'être fantaisiste, hein, et ils le font tout au long de l'année. Donc je voudrais qu'on les applaudisse, s'il vous plaît, messieurs, dames, et on y va. On commence avec le départ, et j'espère que les Suisses vont aller charger les bières, parce que ça va aller vite, on n'a même pas 45 minutes de spectacle.
Still a small delay here in Villars. If you're just tuning in, we are live from Villars for the IFSC Speed World Cup round number 4. So a very minor delay. Some of the competitors continuing to warm up, as you can see. Most of them just sitting down, ready to climb. As I've said, it is a very cold night here. You don't want to be sitting around for long. Just to remind you of the result from 3 days ago in Chamonix. It should have been 4 days ago, but our speed final there was moved due to bad weather. The winner of that event in the women's competition was Anouk Jobert. Alexandra Rudzinska was 2nd, and Anna Tsiganova was 3rd.
À gauche, la Russe, elle va être opposée à Elmer Alexandra, l'Autrichienne.
So we are ready for our first race, Elmer of Austria against Kaplina of Russia. Kaplina closest to the camera there, she will be on the left as we look at the wall.
L'Autrichienne peut saisir l'opportunité.
Kaplina on the left, Elmer on the right.
Okay.
Just been told that there is an issue with the timing system here in Villars, which likely explains the delay we've had. You saw on Kaplina's face there, the frustration. Already rectified, I believe.
Ready. Back on presentation.
Long delay there, and Kaplina flagged the fact that the delay was so long, she was no longer comfortable. She wanted to start again. In a country famous for its watches, you would expect Switzerland to be able to do timing systems well. I'm sure it's only a minor blip. Elmer looking relatively unfazed by this, but Yulia Kaplina not happy at all.
Alors la planche aussi, hein, vous allez voir, si vous voyez, il y a une espèce de plaque en fer sur l'estrade. C'est, on va dire, leur starting block comme en athlétisme. Très sensible, donc dès que le dernier ordre du start.
Kaplina wants to put the down jacket back on. Looks like Elmer's doing the same.
Un faux départ, ça va. On leur met un avertissement. Deuxième faux départ,
Yulia Kaplina, as I say, current world record holder, currently leads the overall standings in the Speed World Cup. Won the first 2 World Cups of this season in Chongqing and Nanjing, back to back in China, 2 weekends running. This is not
Allez, on va
ideal
laisser répéter
preparation
les techniques et ensuite on y va.
for the
Ça prend
athletes.
2 secondes. Toujours capricieux pour un
Polina
vitesse.
still looking
voilà.
more frustrated, but
Chaque fois qu'on commence la compète,
you
mais on
wonder
va y arriver.
if
On
it
est
is
à
beginning to
Villars
get
sur
to
le
Elmer. They
tempo.
took their marks twice. There's an issue with the timing system the first time. I assume there was the second time, but either way, Julia Kaplina not happy, did not want to continue. And we now wait. They wait under the spotlight here in Villars. Just to reiterate, if you are just tuning in, we are live as planned from Villars in Switzerland, but we have a technical issue with our timing system.
Pas loin de Marseille. J'espère que
The
les gens qui
most,
nous entendent dans les
or
bâtiments,
the
il y a
least
peut-être des
likely
gens
failure
qui
you would
sont
expect
ce matin. On s'excuse,
in the land of
messieurs, ce
watch
qu'on vous invite à
manufacturers.
faire.
But that's what we're dealing with.
Si vous m'entendez, je vous offre une
Julia
bière.
Kaplina and Alexandra
Ça vous fait plaisir
Elmer
avec
are
nous. Demain, on met ça
currently
à
clipped into the auto belay system that we're using for this evening's speed final. But they haven't climbed yet. They have taken their marks twice. They will now do so a third time. Kaplina on the left, the winner of 2 out of 3 World Cups so far this season. Elmer on the right.
Ready?
They get away, and it's Kaplina who gets a marginally better start, but Elmer's reining her in. Neither athlete looking particularly settled, but I think Kaplina's got enough here. She has. Elmer started well, slowed near the top. Not an especially fast time from Kaplina, it didn't need to be. Pulled away about midway up the wall from Elmer.
Pour le prochain run, ça se passe en one shot, 8,50, et on peut applaudir celle qui va s'en aller. S'il vous plaît, c'est l'Autrichienne, Alexandra Elmer.
So the timing system seems to be sorted.
On va retrouver maintenant notre Française, Aurélia
We'll have
Sarisson,
Aurélia
la dernière,
Sarisson on
elle
the
était
left.
quatrième
You can see her there, closest to the camera,
Elle va être à gauche,
against
elle va
Daria
être aux
Khan
côtés
on the right of Russia.
Daria Khan, c'est la Russe. Elle n'était pas dans les 15 meilleurs au monde l'année dernière, la Russe, mais
Saracen,
c'est quand même dangereux. cette
not too
discipline
far
qui a
from
été
being in
créée
front of
en
our home crowd.
1950 en Russie.
We are very close to the Swiss border here. She was 15th last time out in Chamonix in front of a true home crowd. Saracen on the left, Khan on the right. And it's Saracen who gets a better start, and she's, if anything, she is opening up that lead. Beginning to power away from Khan, but Khan just beginning to rein it in.
Oh, c'est la Française
Saracen
qui
looked like she
passe.
had that in the bag by a large margin. 2/3 of the way up the route.
Alors, par contre, là,
Momentum
Aurélia,
seems to
en
stall.
passant,
Khan
elle est-
almost reined her in.
évidemment, elle est ravie. Par contre, elle sait qu'elle va quand même se cogner la record woman du monde au prochain run. Et que ça va pas être une mince affaire.
Normally we would have the times on the screen for you. I suspect that's still part of the issue with the timing system.
Allez, on va retrouver maintenant celle qui est la plus régulière sur le circuit, c'est la polonaise, mademoiselle Alexandra Rudzinska. Elle a terminé deuxième la semaine dernière à Chamonix. Elle va être opposée à notre petite réunionnaise, championne du monde cadette, Elma Flores, de l'île de la Réunion.
Alexandra Rudzinska here against Elma Fleury of France on the right.
Ready?
Rudzinska the likely favourite, and it's her who gets a better start. Fleury powering up the bottom third of the route, and Rudzinska slips. Fleury now just needs to cruise home, does so. Surprise result early on
Et
here.
ça, c'est pas n'importe quelle performance que de devancer mademoiselle Rudzinska qui normalement commet très peu d'erreurs. Donc là, franchement, difficile. Deuxième il y a 3 jours. Elle était contre la française Anouk Jobert. Elle a fait des runs quand même à 8.
What a surprise.
8,
A shock result, I think it'd be fair to say, in the
Le meilleur run
First
chez les
round
filles
in this
la semaine
final
dernière,
here,
c'était
Villars.
7,99, donc le record du
Elma
monde est
Fleury
à 7,53.
beating Alexandra
C'était
Rudzinska.
très proche. On va retrouver maintenant mademoiselle Kudziak, la polonaise, à droite.
Just to remind you, Rudzinska currently sits second in the overall standings for 2016.
Mademoiselle toujours très forte. Elle n'était pas dans les meilleurs du classement.
Fleury
Elle est
down in
opposée à mademoiselle
23rd.
Markusheva, Russia, Elena.
Next race, Markusheva on the left of Russia against Chudziak, Poland on the right. And Chudziak gets a better start, but Rudzinska.
C'est avantage pour la Russe.
Markusheva instantly reining her in and opening up a bit of a lead, but slipping.
Pourtant, la voie, elle est assimilée. Et voilà, la Polonaise
Tight
qui
race
s'en
run
retourne.
by
On peut
Chudziak.
l'applaudir, s'il vous plaît, mademoiselle Chudziak. Qui passe
Polish
en
town of
supérieur.
Lublin.
Patricia, elle sera opposée à
19
Elma
years
Flores.
old, and she progresses to the next round of this final. Here live from Villars in Switzerland.
Qui a remporté la Coupe du Monde de Chamonix 2 années d'affilée. c'est la Française Anouk Jobert. Elle aussi, elle a eu le titre, elle a eu le record woman du monde dans les mains. Elle a tenu 15 secondes, il a été battu le round d'après. Et elle va être
And this will be an interesting race next. Anouk Jobert, France. She won 3 days ago in Chamonix. Will take on Nina Lack. Nina Lack currently sitting 7th in the overall standings to Jobert's 3rd. So Jobert the slight favourite, but we could have another upset early on.
Alors, faux départ pour Nina Lack.
There's a false start there, being told it was for Nina Lack. You see the red light flashing on the right side of the screen on the B wall. It's a false start for Nina Lack. They set themselves for a second time.
Ready?
And Jobert gets a much better start. Nina Lack really seemed to stay in the blocks there, perhaps conscious of another false start. And Jobert, unless she slips, is going to power away with this one. She is. No trouble for Jobert. Very sluggish start from Nina Lack, as I say, possibly explained by her reluctance not to get a second false start. So last week's winner, Anouk Jobert, progresses.
Elle aussi, elle sera bien d'aplomb pour les Jeux Olympiques dans 4 ans. Allez, on va retrouver maintenant Anna Tsiganiova qui faisait partie des 4 meilleures grimpeuses au monde.
So it is Russia against Russia in the next race. Anna Tsiganova, she was 3rd last week in Chamonix. Elizaveta Ivanova currently sits 16th in the overall standings 2016. So Russia against Russia.
Ready?
And it's Tsiganova with a slightly sluggish start by her, so there's been a stumble by Ivanova. Should mean that Tsiganova doesn't have to work too hard to win this one. She doesn't. 8:52, 10:34. They both got out the blocks well, but it was Ivanova who slipped early on.
Oh, un Russe qui perd une compétition de vitesse, c'est dramatique. Hein. Ah bah là, tu rentres pas indemne.
So we've got the veteran Edita Ropek next. She'll be climbing on the left. She is. To the right of her, Svetlana Motovilova.
C'est Edita Ropek, la polonaise, elle va être à gauche. Edita, elle a gagné, ça fait au moins 10 ans, 10-12 ans qu'on l'a sur les Coupes du Monde à gauche.
56 years old,
Elle a gagné
Ropek.
pendant 3-4 ans, c'était la déesse de la vitesse. Bon, maintenant, évidemment, les jeunes poussent aux fesses. Elle est toujours d'actualité. L'année dernière, elle finit 5e.
Doing this a long time.
Podium à Chamonix.
She's won a lot of World Cups. Her best results so far this season for Ropek is 3rd in Wujiang. Is 5th last time out in Chamonix. Wujiang being last year. 5th her best result so far. And Ropek flies out the blocks. Motovilova beginning to rein her in. This is tight. Looks like Ropek's opened up a slight lead again, though. Should have done enough and has. Only by a quarter of a second, though. She progresses. So, the race with 2 big names early on. Klaudia Bukček will take on her compatriot, Anna Brozek, next. Bukček there on the left. Currently sitting 4th in the overall standings after Chamonix last week. Bukček. As you see the top out there of Ropek and Motovilova, that's what quarter of a second looks like. So Bukček on the left, Brozek on the right. Bukček just twitching there, and it seems to cause her a bit of a slow start, and Brozek beginning to open a bit of a lead, but Bukček reining it in. This is going to be the tightest race yet, or it would have been had Bukček not slipped. Brozek takes it, knocks out Klaudia Bukček. Bukček currently 4th in the overall standings and out here in Villars. We've already lost a couple of big names, Alexandra Rudzinska and now Klaudia Bukček.
Super dur à faire. Par contre, rapidement, elle est beaucoup plus simple. Ça fait depuis 2007 que la voie est officielle avant sur les compétitions.
So next we will have the male competitors for their first round of this final here in Villars. Just joining us, we were slightly delayed at the start due to an issue with the timing system, and we still don't have timings on the screens. We hope the problem is rectified and we can get you some on-screen times.
Depuis 4 ans, c'est juste les mêmes. Ah oui, il est possible que ça change, bien sûr. Hein. Par contre, si on change la voie prochainement, elle sera partie pour 4-5 ans.
In the meantime,
qu'on puisse battre des records. Allez, on va passer maintenant du côté
our
des
first
hommes.
men's race. We are about to see Reza Ali Poshena Zandifar against Vladislav Dulin.
J'adore son nom, je vais encore...
Iran against Russia.
300 points. Il est très rapide, il est très
If
puissant.
you didn't see our highlights or the live stream from Chamonix 3 days ago, I suggest you go back and watch it, because Reza Ali Poshena's reaction to winning the small final to claim third was absolutely superb. On the highlights of the weekend. If you go back and watch it, you'll see what I mean. There's Libor Harosa, leads the way currently in the overall standings.
Alors c'est pareil, il y a 5 ans en arrière, Iran, Russie, c'était juste inconcevable.
They're just off shot right now, but the two men, Ali Poshena and Dulin, are at the foot of the wall. There they are.
Parce que voilà, Dulin à droite, c'est le 16e meilleur chrono de la journée, et Ali Poshena.
Ali Poshena has already won a World Cup this year, one in Nanjing back in May. Dulin has only entered one World Cup so far this year. That was Chamonix 3 days ago, and he took 14th.
Allez, donc on va dire, on va l'appeler autrement, on va l'appeler Alipour. Voilà. Donc Alipour, lui, il est premier. Applaudissements, s'il vous plaît, allez.
So, Ali Poshena on the left against Dulin on the right.
Ready?
And it's a lightning start. You'd expect nothing else from Ali Poshena. He is so fast out of the blocks, and he's not slowing down. Actually didn't win it by that much. Dulin began to rein him in, but Ali Poshena, that start. You see here, it looked as if it was a done deal. Dulin just began to rein him in, slightly taller athlete, and as he got higher on the route, Ali Poshena just slipped onto the final holes, did just about enough.
Le classement général de l'année dernière, il va être opposé au Français Quentin Mambeau, qui avait remporté les championnats d'Europe jeunes, cadet je crois, et vainqueur du classement général de la Coupe d'Europe de vitesse une année.
Next up we'll have Dimitri Timofeev. He is actually on the left, he is not on the right. It's Quentin Nabo on the right, Dimitri Timofeev on the left.
Ready?
Timofeev away quickly, but so is Nambo. This is tight. Looks like Timofeev's got the slight advantage, and it gets bigger as the route goes on. Wins by 0.2 seconds. Timofeev, he won out in Chongqing, serious contender.
Pour le prochain run, Timofeev, qui va être contre Ali pour 25 minutes.
There you go, 0.2 seconds the gap in the end. Timofeev, always a favourite in that one. It's a definite favourite in this one. Arseny Shevchenko comes up against Libor Harosa. Harosa, one of the most experienced, dedicated professionals we have in the speed climbing discipline. Not a big fan of coming second, Libor. He did just that in Chamonix. He will not want to do so again. Leads away in the overall standings though. Arseny Shevchenko there on the right, 26 years old. Only been in one World Cup so far this year, but he did get 11th.
Ready?
Harosa on the left, Shevchenko on the right, and Shevchenko gets a good start, and he's leaving Harosa behind here. Harosa's got a lot of work to do, and I think he's going to just about manage it. He doesn't. Libor Harosa, that was such a sluggish start. You see him slap his forehead. Well, we had some big surprises already in the women's event. We now have a major one in the men's. Shevchenko, I said it, he's a real threat. I don't think many people thought he would have won that one, but Libor just... He didn't seem to stumble, he was just so sluggish out of the blocks. As I say, we have an issue with the timing system here in Villars. A few days ago in Chamonix we were able to see not only times but reaction times. It would have been fascinating to know Libor's reaction time.
Monsieur, 5 secondes
See that again, just exactly what cost him. Well, the overall leader, 2016, is out here in Villars. Daniel Boldirev, current world record holder, takes on Leonardo Gontero in our next race. Remember, this is not a World Cup certified wall, so the world record cannot be officially broken this evening. The man who holds it is on the left. And it's a good start from him. And those long limbs opening up a bit of a lead for Boldirev. Slip by Gontero meant it was a formality with a third of the way to go. Boldirev safely through. Our next race will be Marcin Zienski, who won in Chamonix and was understandably absolutely delighted about it against Konstantin Pavlenko of the Ukraine. You've barely been able to wipe the smile off Marcin Zienski's face. Chamonix has been walking around Villars with a huge smile on his face. He was absolutely delighted with winning in Chamonix. It's put him second in the overall standings, and the man ahead of him, Libor Harosa, has just gone out.
Ready?
Zienski on the left, Pavlenko on the right. And it's a good start from Zienski. Pavlenko beginning to rein him in, possibly not done enough though. Zienski will win it. Waits the crowd, he's down, and he's through.
Bien joué, Zienski qui passe avec un 6-15. Ça restera quand même le meilleur chrono pour le moment.
See, better 1:08.9, Alexander Shilov.
Allez, en dehors de Zienski, le prochain, Alexander Shilov.
Going to be taking on Guillaume Moreau of France. See, very different builds. Shilov, much thicker build, much heavier build. As you saw, Marcin Zienski won last week, and he's more of the Moreau shape.
Ready?
So Shilov on the left, Moreau on the right.
Allez, c'est parti. Voyez le
It's a
rythme
slow
parti.
start from Shilov and a slip. I wonder if Moreau knows all he's got to do is cruise home.
Guillaume Moreau, le Français qui passe, et qui doit être
Shilov would have been the favourite going into that one,
en quart de finale.
but it's Moreau who takes it.
Applaudissements s'il vous
Shilov
plaît pour le Russe qui
Currently
continue.
8th in the overall standings in 2016.
Prochain run, on va
Would have
retrouver
certainly
le
expected to
numéro
win that
un
race.
français, le leader, champion de France en titre.
Moreau, after only one competition, is 36th, but he's knocked out. Shilov,
On croise les doigts, ça s'est pas bien passé pour lui à Chamonix la semaine dernière. Il va être opposé à Mister.
so for those of you just tuning in, we're live in Villars. We had a slight delay due to an issue with the timing system, and we are not able to currently display athlete times or reaction times, which is a shame because that was a fascinating insight last week. We hope that problem will be rectified and we can get the times on screen for you. In the meantime, Bassem Awem is on the left, Asli Bogomolov is on the right. And Bawem gets a better start. Bogomolov almost instantly slips. Bawan cruises home. 6:24. Well, by the time Bassem Awem had got into his stride, Bogomolov was nowhere to be seen. He disappeared from the camera shot. Not a tough first one for Bassem Awem. He'll have tougher tests to come against one of the men who are currently on the stage, Stanislav Kokorin. You see him there close to the screen, just mentally rehearsing one more time. He'll take on Georgi Atamanov.
À Chamonix la semaine dernière, il est rentré jusqu'en troisième, enfin en quart de finale, c'était sortir
all Russian race.
On peut les applaudir, il est à côté d'Artamoniov, Georgi.
Ready?
Ça devrait aller vite.
Looked like Kokorin just stumbled before he set off. Doesn't seem to have cost him too much. He's opened up a lead here. I don't think Atamanov's going to catch him. He is not. He finishes anyway. It's Kokorin who takes it. See the finish here. Let's just see a stumble from Atamanov. Just near the top, there it is. Kokorin already had a lead. It's enough to see him home. So that is the first round in the
Et
men's
le premier
competition.
avec les filles, c'est la record woman du monde, Chaplina, qui va être, comme je vous l'ai dit tout à l'heure,
Next race that we're going to see will be
opposée à la française.
a
Aurélia
resumption of the
Sarisson, après 32
women's
minutes.
competition. It will be Julia Kaplina against Aurelia
Et Chaplina,
Sarisson
la semaine
of
dernière,
France.
elle est sortie assez vite de la
We have
compétition,
no
malheureusement.
Swiss climbers in this
La record
evening's
woman du monde,
speed climbing final.
Mademoiselle Chaplina, qui au classement était
Let's
troisième la saison
quickly
dernière.
recap the results.
Elle avait remporté la dernière étape de la
See
saison,
there.
deuxième en Chine.
Julia Kaplina,
Deux
she
fois
beat
troisième, donc
Alexandra
c'était
Elmer
les
in
plus
the first
régulières,
round.
hein. La numéro 1 mondiale, bien sûr, Maria Krasavina, de l'année dernière, n'est pas présente avec nous. Et la nouvelle,
Razy, Alec
numéro 1
Porshena,
mondiale,
Martin
c'est la
Zienski,
Française
Bassam Owen,
Anouk
Daniel Boldarev, Stanislav Kokorin, Dmitry Timofeev. The top six, the name that is missing from all that.
Allez, Chaplina contre
Limo Harosa,
Sarisson.
knocked out.
Mademoiselle 7,53 contre la Française.
Highly competitive individual.
Aurélia,
Will
lui
not be
tape
over
le
the
run.
moon.
Sauf
Here's
que
Julia
possible, ça
Kaplina
serait une
now.
belle performance
If you've
pour
been
sa
watching
carrière
from the
sportive.
start, you remember
Et au
she was
niveau de
called up, and the
Mademoiselle
issue with the
Chaplina,
timing system that caused a delay here in
On va voir
Villars
ce
meant
ça va
that she
donner.
had to take her marks twice. For two aborted
Allez,
starts,
premier
she put her
quart de
down
finale.
jacket back on, took her marks a third time, and eventually got to race Alexandra
Ready?
Elmer and won. Here's Kaplina on the
Allez,
left,
attention.
Saracen on the right.
Très bon départ, en tout cas, la
And
Française.
Kaplina
Attention,
looks to have a
Julia.
slight lead there.
Julia qui
She
peut
does.
remettre la Française
Not
à
too
la
much
France.
though,
Julia
Saracen
avec.
keeping it tight.
Et c'est Julia.
Not quite tight enough.
On
Julia
applaudit
Kaplina
Julia Chaplina.
slows down
En
well.
demi-finale.
She seemed initially quite thrown by the issues with the timing system. It obviously hasn't had too much of an effect. Safely through. She's into the last four.
Ok, donc on peut dire au revoir à Aurélia Sarisson, s'il vous plaît.
So
qui a
our
fait une belle
overall
prestation.
leader in the 2016 Speed World Cup season is safely through into the last four. She's beaten Alexandra Elmer and also Aurelia Sarisson.
Elma Fleuret, la réunionnaise, championne du monde cadette, qui va se retrouver opposée
Next two
à
climbers
Kudziak.
that we're about to see on stage will be Elma Fleuret
Patricia Kudziak, qui tourne très fort
of
tout à
France
l'heure.
and Patricia Chudziak of
Patricia
Poland.
Kudziak, 8e du classement mondial l'année dernière, sa meilleure place était
We only
7e.
have one of them. Oh, there she is, Elma
Elma
Fleuret.
est jeune, elle a tout son temps pour réaliser de belles choses. En plus, elle va arriver à maturité assez rapidement. Surtout quand on est déjà dans
And
les
there's
phases de
Chudziak.
finale comme ça.
Just
Tout
as we
peut
were beginning to
arriver.
wonder where she might have got to.
Pas de faux départ
There
pour
she
ces
is.
filles. Allez, la meilleure sera opposée à la record woman du monde.
Both relatively lowly ranked in the overall standings. Haven't, of course, taken part in all the events, but 22nd Chudziak to 23rd Fleuret. Both be looking for a surprise visit to the top
Allez, on
four.
va un petit peu du côté,
It's Chudziak with the marginally better start, but it's Elma Fleuret who gets the
pour l'instant,
early
c'est
momentum.
la Polonaise qui
Can she
recommence.
keep hold of it though? This is going to be one of our tighter women's races. And it's Fleuret who takes it in 8.55 to 8.83 of Chudziak.
Applaudissements s'il vous plaît. Et là, elle doit jubiler dans son baudrier là. Demi-finale pour notre réunionnaise. Bon,
Chudziak,
comme Aurélia Sarisson, elle va se
just see
cogner
her
la
off
numéro
screen,
une, la plus
slow
rapide,
it to the
hein,
ground,
mais,
doesn't look over the moon with
vous
that
avez vu,
result,
hein, quand même, ça,
to
et
say
une
the
phase
least.
aussi de chance
Takes one
à
final
Colette
look at the
dans
wall,
cette
shakes her
discipline.
head, and off she
Annick
goes. There's
Joubert,
Annick
numéro
Joubert on
une
the
mondiale,
left.
opposée à Tsiganiova. Ça va être un gros run parce que
Winner
les
in
deux
Chamonix
sont
takes
vraiment
on
bien placés.
Tsiganova,
Tsiganiova,
third in
Anna,
Chamonix.
La Russe, elle est 4e mondiale.
So again,
Joubert, Anouk,
more surprises
pour le moment.
taking place. One of the podium places from Chamonix will not make the last four here.
Ready?
Là, ça devrait être un gros run.
Joubert seems to get the better start, but Tsiganova's climbing more solidly. If anything, she's opening up a bit of a lead. Slips, just gaining the last holds. We see that, I was about to say she'll be kicking herself. Absolutely furious with herself. In a tight race, she'd opened up a lead. Slipped, just heading for those final holes.
Pour les filles, c'est 7,53 le record du monde.
Anouk
Donc là,
Joubert who
ici,
takes
ils ont
it.
pété les plombs, arraché les barrières et sauté de partout. Hein. On est quand même proche là. Elle nous a fait à peu près le même chrono à Chamonix, Anouk.
So Adita Ropek will take on her compatriot Anna Brozek. This is for a place in the top four. Ropek's been there plenty of times before. Both from Tarnow in Poland.
Ready?
Ropek on the left, Brozek on the right.
Allez, laquelle va
And
l'emporter
Ropek
entre
seems
la
to get a
jeunesse et
marginally better
l'expérience.
start.
Pour l'instant, rapidité,
Brozek,
c'est
if
la
anything
jeunesse
though,
qui
opening up a bit of a
est
lead. The
fort.
slip from Ropek should hand this one to Brozek. All she's got to do is climb carefully, which she does, 850. Didn't need to be any faster.
Mademoiselle Brosset qualify for next round. And you can make a big
It goes
applause
to
for
show
Edita Ropek.
just how close to the limit these speed climbing athletes are. Edita Ropek, a veteran in this sport, still slips.
La semaine dernière,
See it shortly.
elle s'est fait éliminer à peu près au même endroit.
There we
Elle est
go,
pas
the
passée
foot
malheureusement
slipped.
les quarts de finale.
It's Costa.
Les garçons, vous avez vu, ça va vite. Hein.
And we will now resume the men's competition.
Avec toujours les feux départ à être attentifs.
that
Donc
man,
derrière, à la fin, je demanderai le nom de
Reza
notre
Aliposhena
Iranien
against
préféré.
Dmitry Timofeev.
Reza Alipour.
Had a lot of
6,41
races
tout à l'heure, opposé à
between
Timofeev, le Russe.
People that would be
Mr.
expecting to be on the podium
Attention, aussi
here in
faisant
Villars
partie
early
du
on in
leader
this
au
competition.
classement général.
And this is
Avantage
another
quand même,
one.
hein, sur la journée
Reza Aliposhena,
pour l'Iranien qui a l'air vraiment en forme.
he won in Nanjing in China. The week after, the man he's racing, Dmitry Timofeev, won in Chongqing. One of them will be out. Timofeev looking very focused, but just being made to wait slightly by Aliposhena.
At your marks. Ready?
Aliposhena on the left, Timofeev on the right. Two World Cup winners, and they both get blistering starts. This is a close race already. Looks like Aliposhena might have it. He doesn't. He did not stop the clock. Either missed the pad or didn't apply enough pressure. And as he lowers down, he's absolutely fuming with himself. Let's have another look at that. It looked to me as if he had it. It looked to me as if he got there slightly earlier. No, perhaps he did. Let's have another look. He just doesn't quite hit this. He doesn't quite hit the pad, or doesn't hit it hard enough. Certainly was nowhere near the centre of the pad. Didn't make it short.
5 seconds 60 opposé à Mr.
Well, yes, but
Potkayev.
last week's third place
Mr. Shevchenko.
is already out
Et
in the
Shevchenko,
men's competition.
16e l'année dernière, mais il a déjà quand même remporté pas mal de belles victoires.
Now we have Arseny Shevchenko against Daniel Bouldering.
Pour au moins nous faire tomber les chronos
Bouldering, of course,
assez hallucinants ici.
the current world record holder. Take them out. See the difference in build. Daniel Bouldering, 3 or 4 inches taller.
Allez, attention, le Russe ou l'Ukrainien.
Seems to help him out early on. He seems to stride up the wall. Never seems to be in too much of a rush. But still logs times like that without too much trouble. 6:23 for Bouldering.
The world man record. Bon, par contre, je vais les taquiner un peu, c'est les petits chronos.
See that.
quand même, hein. On n'a pas vu en dessous dessus. Hein, Mathieu? Mathieu va bientôt s'y mettre. Allez,
Next we'll
prochain.
see Marcin Zienski. There he is on the left.
Zienski, il va y
He
aller en
won
dessous
in
dessus.
Chamonix
Zienski
3 days
opposé à
ago, and he
Guillaume
takes on
Moreau,
Guillaume
Il
Moreau,
a 6 secondes 15 tout à l'heure, Zienski.
who knocked out, in a slightly surprise result, Alexander Shilov of Russia in the previous round.
Ready?
Allez,
Zienski
attention,
flies out the
attention,
blocks,
attention,
but Morrow's
attention,
getting with him. I think Zienski's going to hold on to this lead, though. He is flat, 6 seconds.
Applaudissements pour Guillaume Moreau, 6 secondes. On y arrive. On y arrive.
Zienski progresses.
Et applaudissez le Français, s'il vous plaît,
Maintains
Guillaume
his
Moreau,
hopes
qui
of winning
fait
2 World Cups in a row.
En demi, opposé à Mister en quart.
You see him there on the left, Bassam Wem.
Là, ça va être du lourd, hein.
He will
Simon
climb
Pierre
next
contre
against
Bulgarie,
Stanislav
Zienski
Kokorin, who you
contre
can see just set
Kokorin,
himself at the
ou
bottom right of the
Mavropassar,
wall. There he is.
Le Français ou la mini-arme de destruction massive russe, Kokorin. Là, si vous voulez arriver à un endroit très rapide, vous envoyez Kokorin.
Both athletes just taking
Ça va
a
vite.
bit longer to set themselves than you normally
On
see.
peut les applaudir et après, au
Here we
prochain
have it,
match, c'est
Bassam Wem on the
présenté
left,
réellement avec tous les
Stanislav
titres.
Kokorin on the right.
At your marks.
Regardez le regard.
Ready?
False start from Kokorin.
Faux départ.
Sometimes they're so minor you can only just make them out. That was a relatively obvious one.
Il y a de l'intox aussi dans ce sport. La Marouane aurait pu partir aussi.
Of course, he will have another
Faut pas se laisser embarquer, faut rester.
life, if you like, another chance. He gets another chance.
Action marks.
It's not like the Olympics with the 100 meters where it's one strike and you're out. You do get a second chance.
Ready.
Allez, attention parce que
Clean start this time from both men. And Mawem seems to open up an early lead that he's just about hanging on to. No, he's not. By 100th of a second, Stanislav Kokorin beats him. Well, that's about as close as he gets. It looked to me as if Mawem had a slight lead. Let's have a look at how the upper section went.
Il est petit, mais il est survitaminé.
Didn't seem to be a slip from Mawem. Kokorin just bit by bit, move by move, reined him in. And that is 100th of a second. So, just to recap for you, in the women's competition, Yulia Kaplina is through, as is Elma Fleuret, Anouk Jobert and Anna Brozek. They will contest this semi-final. And in the men's competition, Marcin Zienski is through, as is Daniel Boldyrev, Stanislav Kokorin and Dmitry Timofeev. Zienski and Timofeev, of course, already won World Cups this year. Zienski 3 days ago in Chamonix. Dmitry Timofeev a couple of months ago in Chongqing in China, the first World Cup of the year. They're both through. As is Boldyrev, the current world record holder. Stanislav Kokorin joins them.
Parce que les Chinois, quand ils travaillent, ça fait mal. Et le numéro 1 mondial, pour le moment, c'est le Chinois. C'est Xing Song. Ok, on va présenter maintenant les demi-finales, mesdames et messieurs.
So before the semi-final here, we will have a presentation of the 8 athletes, the 4 men and the 4 women who will be taking part.
Trois podiums la saison dernière, dont une victoire. Je voudrais qu'on l'applaudisse très fort, s'il vous plaît. Et elle va être opposée à la championne du monde cadette, originaire de l'île de la Réunion. Applaudissements pour Elma Fleuret. Elma Fleuret en demi-finale. C'est juste du bonheur. Ensuite, on retrouvera celle qui est numéro 1 de cette saison, vainqueur à Chamonix.
There on the left.
Anouk Jobert, qu'on peut applaudir s'il vous plaît, deuxième
Elma
classement
Fleuret,
du monde
here's
l'année dernière.
Anouk
Avec
Jobert,
une victoire et une deuxième place. Et
winner
elle
from
s'est
Chamonix.
opposée à la grimpeuse polonaise.
Looks full of energy. You see her bouncing up and down, shaking her legs. Looks ready to go.
Et qui avait réalisé une très belle 8e place.
There's Anna Brozek.
Men, on va continuer avec les garçons. En demi-finale ce soir, on va retrouver Timofeev, qu'on applaudit très fort, s'il vous plaît.
And now we'll see the male competitors. Up they come. Here's Dmitry Timofeev.
Dimitri Timofeev.
Looks incredibly focused. When I was in the warm-up area earlier, doesn't give much away, doesn't say anything, doesn't look at anyone. Incredibly focused individual. Daniel Boldyrev, current world record holder at 5.60 seconds. Boldyrev, as Marcin Zienski still smiling from his win in Chamonix.
Et on va retrouver opposé l'incroyable russe, Mr. Kokorin Stanislas.
And here's Stanislav Kokorin.
8e l'année dernière de la saison, plusieurs fois victorieux en Coupe du Monde. Une machine.
Been consistent this year without a podium. Kokorin, 8th in Chongqing, 4th in Nanjing and 4th in Chamonix a few days ago. See Marcin Zienski there. Energy to burn, shake his hands out. They are the 8 athletes who will compete in this semi-final. If you're just joining us, we are live in Villars in Switzerland in the Canton of Vaud at 12,050 metres, and I have to say it feels like it. As you can probably tell from what all the athletes are wearing, absolutely freezing here. Good conditions for climbing, not great conditions for waiting to climb.
Et chez les filles,
If you are new to speed climbing,
la Russe opposée
we are down to
à
4
Emma
athletes in the
Fleuret,
men's and 4 athletes in the women's
et la
competition.
Polonaise opposée
So the
à la
winners
Française, toujours
of
pas
these
connue.
next 2 races will go through to compete in what we call the big final. That decides who gets the gold and who gets the silver. The runners-up in the 2 races that we're about to see will progress into what we call a small final. That is basically a 3rd, 4th playoff to decide who takes the bronze medal.
Qui est battu au record woman du monde, qui est quand même 3e la saison dernière avec 4 podiums sur 5 compètes.
You can see it's getting fairly dark here in Villars, very atmospheric.
Une deuxième place.
With the spotlights on the wall.
Deux deuxième places. Deux troisième places, pardon.
Yulia Kaplina wants to get on with it here. Should we take on Elma Fleuret? Not in shot right now. That's Anna Brozek, you can see.
Et là, il y a
The
l'entraîneur,
Poland jumper. Just staying warm.
En même temps, elles sont pas encore sur le mur. Sur l'île de la Réunion, ce qui est marrant, c'est que leur mur de vitesse, alors bien sûr c'est la Réunion, hein,
So
on est
the
pas à Villars-sur-Rolland.
First race in this semi-final will be Yulia Kaplina against Elma Fleuret. There's Kaplina. If you've been watching from the start, you'll have seen when she was in the first race of this evening's event and got held up by some issues with the timing system and looked to be getting quite frustrated. But obviously hasn't affected her performance. Climbed very well. Already beaten Alexander Elmer and Aurelia Saracen to get this far.
Ils sont très très forts, ils ont un très bon crew de grimpeurs et on est très fiers d'eux. Alors évidemment là, elle est face.
Kaplina, just set yourself there. Should take on Fleuret for a place in the big final. The runner-up will be in the small final.
The crowd, please, but come on, давай, guy. Allez, Russia.
Fleuret on the right, Kaplina is there on the left, directly under our camera. There we see her.
Ready?
Clean start from both of them, and it looked like Fleuret got the initial start better, but stumbles relatively low down. Kaplina should be assured of the place in the big final. She is. Fleuret stumbled again near the top, so Kaplina progresses. She will have a chance to extend her lead in the overall standing. She's currently leading the way.
Là, c'est vrai que la Russe, elle, des erreurs, elle en fait peut-être moins. Plus d'expérience aussi. Mais elle pousse bien, elle m'a Fleuret. Puis si on prend par exemple ça, ça veut dire que...
There's Anouk Jobert, won in Chamonix 3 days ago, currently 3rd in the overall standings. In 2nd place in the overall standings, Alexandra Rudzinska. She was knocked out in the first round by Elma Fleuret, who we've just seen lose to Yulia Kaplina.
Second position behind Maria Samina.
They take their marks. Jobert on the left, Brozek on the right. Clean start from both women, and it's Jobert who opens up an early lead, and this one is over. Brozek has slipped. Does Jobert know that? It looks like she does. Still 8:41. She will be into her 2nd big final in 3 days.
Alors Anouk, si elle nous refait le coup de Chamonix, franchement, elle sera confortablement installée sur le siège des déesses de la vitesse. Et ça, au niveau du mental, c'est plutôt pas mal pour...
See there, an empty wall on the right. And a Brozek slip very early on. And Anouk Jobert will take on the current leader in the overall standings. That's a firm slap on the time. We saw Razor Ali Porshena, one of the favourites for this event, not stop the timer. And apply sufficient pressure in the correct spot. And it cost him. Lost out to this man on the left, Dmitry Timofeev, who now takes on the current world record holder, Daniel Boldyrev. Timofeev already won a World Cup this year, but he's going to struggle to win this one with a slip low down. Boldyrev beginning to pull away. He'll be into the big final, 6:12. Boldyrev goes through. Well, Timofeev slipped early on. We should see it here. No, higher up on the route. Lower down, he slipped. And it will be Boldyrev who progresses.
Allez, en tout cas, il sera en finale. On va voir maintenant entre Dzienski, la machine. Marcin Dzienski, Pologne, contre le
So,
Russe.
Marcin Dzienski, can he make it 2 World Cup wins in a row? First he has to beat Stanislav Kokorin.
Alors là, je dirais avantage quand même pour le Polonais qui est hors norme. Mais Attention à Kokorin.
Ready?
Zienski on the left. It's a false start from Zienski.
Faux départ pour Zienski. Il n'avait pas.
So fast, he didn't even give me time to read out Stanislav Kokorin's name. As I say though, this is not the Olympic 100 metres. You are allowed one false start. One false start per competition. So Zienski effectively on a yellow card. Will have to start slightly slower, but he doesn't. He absolutely flew out of the blocks. Kokorin slips, and Zienski, 6'10", sees him through. Well, there was me busy saying that he'd have to take it slightly easy on the start, but no sign of it from Zienski. Went out full gas. And when Kokorin slipped early on, that one was over. You see it there, an empty wall next to Marcin Zienski. That is a mouth-watering final. We have big final, I should say. Daniel Bouldering against Marcin Zienski.
Et chez les filles, ça va faire Mademoiselle Fleuret, notre française contre Brossec, et Anouk Jobert contre Cabrina. Il ne reste plus que 2 runs féminins et 2 runs masculins, la petite finale et la grande finale. On va commencer par la petite finale féminine. Je vais vous demander d'applaudir.
So we will now see the women's small final. This is speed climbing talk for the 3rd, 4th playoff. So whoever wins this will take the bronze medal today here in Villars.
C'est allez, allez contre point.
Probably hear it through my headphones. We've got some Rage Against the Machine to get the competitors pumped up. Elma Fleury there. There she is, closest to the camera. She'll be on the left, Brozek on the right. There we see them. This for the bronze medal in the women's competition.
Ready?
An issue there. Was that a false start or an issue with the timing system? Must have been a false start for Brozek. Initially thought there's another issue with the timing system. If you're just joining us, we did have some early issues with the timing system. Seemingly been seemingly been sorted out now. We just have an official on stage, just clarifying something with Brozek. Fleury wants to get on with this. Brozek takes a second longer to get settled. She's there now.
Ready?
Clean start from both women, and Fleury seems to have an initial lead, but now they're almost neck and neck until Brozek slips. Fleury almost certainly would take the bronze medal. She does. And the crowd go absolutely wild. We aren't far from the French border here. Elma Fleury has taken the bronze medal here. Bear in mind, this is only her 2nd ever World Cup. Chamonix was her first 3 days ago. She got 14th. Today she takes the bronze medal. How's that for progress? Not bad going. Well, she'll just have to win the next one. And we see Brozek frustrated with herself.
Kokorin qui a lâché sur une faute une zipette, Stanislas, qui lui aussi me semble-t-il a un faux départ sur la droite. Ils vont devoir composer petite finale.
Just to wait our next competitors onto the screen. As I say, Elma Fleury, 2 World Cups, already taken a podium. Not a bad start to a World Cup career.
They have to wait the starter, and the medal will be a bronze medal. Alors j'ai un anglais pourri, hein, les Suisses, hein, vous avez vu. Hein.
There we have it.
C'est bon, ça va, ils comprennent. Hein, donc,
Elma Fleury, she is not provisional first, she is definite 3rd.
Ok, on les laisse un petit peu respirer. Merci à nos assureurs aussi.
And the DJ here obviously knows how to get the competitors fired up. We've had AC/DC, Rage Against the Machine, now we're on to Nirvana.
Il est prêt. Vas-y, mets un petit... allez, ça peut lui porter bonheur. Ah.
Just to wait our next competitors. There they are. They made us wait, but it should be worth it. Dimitri Timofeev on the left against Stanislav Kokorin on the right. This for the bronze medal. As I say, Timofeev, he won in Chongqing. He won't win here today, but he can take bronze if he wins this.
Bronze medal.
He's been 7th in Nanjing, 7th in Chamonix.
At your marks.
So this will be his second best result of the season, regardless of what happens here, but I'm sure he would dearly love to be on the podium.
Ready?
That was a...
Timofeev.
Just to remind you, that's Dmitry Timofeev on the left there, that's not Daniel Boldyrev. We have been having some issues with our timing and graphic systems here at the venue.
Je crois qu'il avait déjà comptabilisé un départ. Donc là, ça voudrait dire, par exemple, si le faux départ est constaté, bah là, il quitte directement la
So
compétition.
Dmitry Timofeev, ignore that graphic on your screen, that's Dmitry Timofeev on the left, Stanislav Kokorin on the right. Timofeev has false started. Dmitry Timofeev is on the left, Stanislav Kokorin on the right.
He had one false start during the qualification. Alors ça c'est voilà, ça c'est ouais, bah, applaudissez-le parce que ça c'est.
Well, if you're wondering why Dmitry Timofeev is being disconnected from the auto belay system, it's because he false started and he had a false start coming into this from the qualifying round. That is 2 strikes and he is out. As we've already mentioned, you are allowed a second chance, but if you false start in the qualifiers, that's effectively a yellow card, you carry it through. Dmitry Timofeev's false started again here in the small final. Nice touch, Stanislav Kokorin, he's going to climb the route anyway, put on a show for this Swiss crowd. Without the pressure of anyone to race against, I think it'd be fair to say he's not quite going at full tilt, but at least the crowd get to see him climb one more time. Slaps the pad and he takes 3rd. So Dmitry Timofeev, false start in the qualifiers, he's false started again in the small final. As a result, he was disqualified. He waits for Kokorin to come down though. Still some uncertainty here. Unfortunately, we're not privy to the discussions going on between Dmitry Timofeev and seemingly with Stanislav Kokorin. Timofeev clearly not happy being excluded from this small final. It would be interesting to see that start again. I wonder if he's suggesting that Kokorin contributed to his false start. Well, the issue has obviously been settled one way or the other because Timofeev's made his way off the stage. Stanislav Kokorin will take the bronze medal here. I can tell you though, although he's not visible on your screens, Dmitry Timofeev is about 15 metres to my left, down at one of the judges' tables. I suspect we might not have heard the end of this. Still some discussion going on, and in the meantime, competition is just on hold. Yeah, we've just got some issue here. Dmitry Timofeev, who false started in the qualifiers, false start in the small final, which you'd imagine would be an easy thing for the judges to flag. We have an electronic timing system, but he's not happy, and he's continued to appeal to the judges. It'd be interesting to know what the nature of his appeal is, because as I say, we do have an electronic timing system. It's not done by eye. It's done within the electric system. They're now talking to Stanislav Kokorin. We can see them there down the front of the stage. Dmitry Timofeev's on the left. Some sort of discussion.
Et mesdames et messieurs, j'en profite pour vous rappeler demain matin, le grand mur de tif va réouvrir à 10h du matin. La compétition elle va changer parce qu'aujourd'hui c'était les qualifs, ils étaient 66 garçons, 48 filles. La compétition était flash. Alors flash, c'est-à-dire qu'ils arrivent le matin, Les premiers partent, les copains regardent leurs copains grimper, ça leur donne des méthodes. Ils arrivent à comprendre comment grimper. À partir de demain matin, on change la donne.
So we still have
On a les 26 meilleurs
Stanislav
filles, les 26
Kokorin
meilleurs
is
garçons.
stripped off again.
Compétition devient à
We'll
vue.
bring you more
Ça veut dire
news
qu'on
in
va
just a
les
second.
mettre derrière le mur, ils n'auront jamais vu la voie. Ils auront 6 minutes pour l'observer. Ensuite, ils retournent en isolement derrière. Ils ne voient toujours pas la voie. Ils ne voient pas leurs copains grimper. Ils arrivent un par un. Après les demi-finales, on gardera les 8 meilleurs grimpeurs. Et les finales, on les fait en nocturne demain soir. 20h les garçons, 21h les filles. Ensuite 22h les podiums.
So they're now coming back out onto the wall. I'm afraid nobody has yet let me know why that is the case. Dimitri Timofeyev had a false start coming in from the qualifiers. He's false started again. So we have Dimitri Timofeyev on the left, Stanislav Kokorin on the right. This is a rerun of the small final. I will confirm in just a second. Just a second why we are having a rerun. I believe Dimitri Timofeyev was excluded as a result of 2 false starts.
Ready? Back on presentation. Back.
There's an issue here with Stanislav Kokorin. And there we see Dimitri Timofeyev on the left, Stanislav Kokorin on the right. So, I've just had word. The reason Dimitri Timofeyev won his appeal was that he was incorrectly awarded a false start in the qualifiers, so he did not come in with the qualifiers. I have to say, on the information we're given, it didn't show him as having a false start. We'll resume in a second. They're both away this time though, and Kokorin will have a point to prove after being messed about slightly, and he brings it home. Timofeyev slipped anyway, so the result is as it was. So a bit of confusion there. As I say, we are given information at the start of these events, and Dimitri Timofeyev was not marked as having had a false start, but when he was excluded, it was assumed by everyone that he must have had a false start coming in from the qualifiers. And that was the reason he was excluded. Obviously, it wasn't clear cut. His appeal took 5 minutes or so, but the end result was it was decided that yes, he had incorrectly been given a false start against his name in the qualifiers. So therefore, his false start in the small final was permitted, and we ran the race again. Enough technicality. We now have the women's big final. Kaplina on the left against Jobert on the right. Jobert was so fast out of the blocks, it looked almost like a false start. And if anything, she's extending a lead. Is it going to be 2 from 2? It is! Anouk Jobert will win 2 weeks running. Last time in front of a home crowd in Chamonix. This time very close to home crowd, only half an hour or so from the French border. She makes it 2 from 2 in 4 days. Not a bad week at the office for Anouk Jobert. So we have it. Anouk Jobert wins. Julia Kaplina, current overall leader in the standings, takes second. I haven't done the maths on where this leaves the overall standings. I believe that will leave Kaplina still in the lead. I don't think that will quite be enough. In fact, it will be enough if my maths is correct, which it usually isn't. That should put Anouk Jobert 5 points ahead in the overall standings by my maths. Probably best not to hold me to it, but I suspect Anouk Jobert has done enough there. So we have Daniel Boldyrev on the left, and he is taking on Marcin Zienski on the right.
Ready?
Current world record holder against winner in Chamonix 3 days ago. And it's Zienski who gets a similar start but doesn't stumble. Boldyrev did, he stumbled right near the bottom. And Marcin Zienski makes it 2 from 2. So Anouk Jobert and Marcin Zienski, they were the winners in Chamonix 3 days ago.
Félicitations pour la
And they win
Pologne.
again here in Chamonix.
Allez, terminé pour la vitesse pour ce soir, demain matin 10h. La diff. Mais on va faire les podiums dans 5 petites minutes. Merci les Russes. Hein. Ah, vous avez vu à la fin, les Suisses, pardon, à la fin, vous avez...
There we see it, Marcin Zienski
Demain, je vous promets, vous allez devenir
beats
parfait.
Daniel Boldyrev. You're wondering why Boldyrev's time is so slow if you've just tuned in.
On aura les 8 meilleurs
It's
mondiales.
because he slipped very early on in the final.
Diana Gambret, celle qui ne tombe jamais. On retrouvera Anak Verhoeven, Magdalena Roch, encore bien d'autres, que des grandes stars. Chez les hommes, ils sont tous là.
Well, there we just see the last rays of light on the mountains here in Villars, setting on what has been a superb speed competition. Plenty of surprises early on, some big names knocked out very early on. But the end result was that the winners were with exactly the same winners as we had in Chamonix 4 days ago. Crowd. And I believe I'm about to be joined via video link by Anouk Jobert, celebrating her second win in 4 days. Anouk, can you hear me? Congratulations, you won 2 World Cups in 4 days. How do you feel? The conditions were very different this time compared to Chamonix. Was it easier to climb tonight? And now we go to Briançon in about 10 days, another World Cup in France. You must be very confident. My apologies. You're in such good form. You should enter the lead competition. So what is your plan now before Arco? What do you do now? Back to training? Well, your training so far has obviously worked. Huge congratulations and enjoy the celebration. That was Anouk Jobert and me getting confused with the schedule. So just a recap, as Anouk reminded me very kindly, we've had such a busy schedule this year with the IFSC. We will not have a speed competition next weekend in Briançon. Please excuse me for that. As I say, we've been on the road quite a bit this year. This is certainly the coldest competition we've been to. As you can see, I've added to my clothing system. Had to put my beanie on. We can see our breath out here in Villars. But yes, we won't have a speed competition. We will have a lead competition next week in Briançon. And I believe I've been joined now by the magic of video link by Marcin Zienski, today's winner and winner from Chamonix. Marcin, 2 wins in 4 days. That's incredible. You must be so happy. And what now for you? You have a few months of rest. Well, not rest, but training. Did it make it more difficult having you had a very short break between here and Chamonix? Was that difficult physically, or was it better for you? No, I don't think anybody did. hopefully in Arco in August it will be hot and sunny, and surely you're very confident now. Okay, well, best of luck and thank you for joining us. That was Marcin Zienski, winner here in Villars and winner in Chamonix just 4 days ago. Very unusual result to have the same winners in 2 World Cups winning, both of them absolutely over the moon. Annick Jobert wins the women's competition and Marcin Zienski wins the men's. Very shortly we will bring you the podium ceremony live from here in a very cold Villars night. We're sitting at about 1,200 metres above sea level, and I have to say it certainly feels like it. So just to recap, if you are joining us, Annick Jobert has won the women's competition. We can see it here. Beat Julia Koplina in the final. Well, I have to say, it would have been extraordinary if we'd had the same winner in either the men's or the women's competition, but to have the same winner in both really is something special. And the podium ceremony, I believe, will get underway very shortly. In the meantime, just to recap the results for you, I will just double check my sheet. Annick Jobert wins the women's competition. Julia Koplina, who was the leader in the overall standings up until this evening, and I believe is now in second overall, took second this evening. And Elma Fleuret took the bronze medal in the small final ahead of Anna Brozek. In the men's competition, Marcin Zienski beat Daniel Boldyrev. We were denied the race we were hoping for in that one when Boldyrev slipped early on and Marcin Zienski could cruise home. Stanislav Kokorin took the bronze medal ahead of Dmitry Timofeev in fourth. We had some confusion there about whether Dmitry Timofeev already had an effective yellow card against his name from the qualifiers. We initially thought he did, although I have to say the information I had in front of me didn't indicate he did. And we initially thought he'd been excluded from that small final for a false start. But after much discussion with the judges, he was reinstated. There's a wall. You can see we had some very minor timing issues earlier on. Apologies that we couldn't bring you the athletes' times as they came in. We hope that by the time we get to Arco, we will be able to do that. We also hope we'll be able to bring you reaction times. As I say, if you just watch me chatting to Annick Jobert, she correctly pointed out they do not have a World Cup next week in Briançon. My excuse is we've been on the road a lot this year. And we do have a lead World Cup, but we don't have a speed one in Briançon. So plenty of surprises here this cold night on Villars. Libor Harosa, current leader in the overall standings for the Speed World Cup, was knocked out in the very first round of this evening's competition. We also lost Claudia Bukcek earlier on. Nina Lack was knocked out the first round, as was Alexandra Rudzinska, all in the women's competition. And I believe the podium ceremony can get underway very shortly.
Bon, messieurs, dames, restez quand même les applaudir. Hein. On va se faire la cérémonie de la vitesse. On commencera évidemment dans un instant par les filles avec notre président de l'international.
There is the podium underneath the lead wall where we'll have our competition tomorrow. And there we have the official results of the women's speed final here in Villars. Annick Jobert won it against Julia Koplina in the big final. Elma Fleuret took third ahead of Anna Brozek in the small final. To run down the rest of the order, Aurelia Sarison was fifth, Patricia Chudziak was sixth, Edita Ropak in seventh. And in the men's competition, Marcin Zienski won by a huge margin after Daniel Boldyrev slipped in the big final. Stanislav Korin took third in the small final after Dmitry Timofeev slipped and fell and did not record a time. Bassem Owen was fifth, Guillaume Moreau was sixth, Arseny Shevchenko seventh, and Reza Aliposhena was eighth. If you saw that race, you will have seen that Aliposhena did not press at the top of the wall to stop the timer. I think he would possibly have won the race he was in, but he did not stop the timer, and therefore his time was not recorded. Aliposhena, of course, he won a World Cup already this year in Nanjing in China back in May. It already seems a long time ago. We've had a lot of climbing action already this year. A lot more to come. There's a lot more to come tomorrow, in fact. We'll be back here in Villars for the lead semi-finals, both men's and women's. That kicks off at 10 AM Swiss time. And then at 8 PM Swiss time, we have the men's final in the lead, and that will be followed by the women's final. You can see that, the podium. Just waiting for the athletes now. Marco Scolaris, president of the IFSC, down there, bottom left of your picture. While we wait for the podium ceremony, we've got a portrait of an athlete who won't be appearing today. He isn't appearing in the World Cups, but he will be in the World Championships in Paris. Last year's overall Boulder World Cup winner, Shizin Song.
我是钟其新，我来自中国，是中国攀岩队的一名队员。我是从2005年开始攀岩，是在江西应用技术职业学院一个学校里面开始攀岩的。那个时候我3个项目我都是挺喜欢的，最后我的教练，丁成亮，他让我选择了速度赛。首先，他给我带来了很多快乐，让我认识了很多世界各地的朋友，也让我在中国有了很大的一个名气，让我从一个学生成为了世界冠军，成为了世界上面的一个焦点。
Podium ceremony to take place in the women's competition.
The bronze medal will be presented by Miss Florian Tavassi, Tourism Officer of Villars-sur-Olon. Bronze medalist representing
So in third place,
France.
representing France, Elma Fleuret, and she will be presented with her bronze medal by the head of the Villars Tourist Association, Tourist Office. Elma Fleuret, absolutely delighted.
The silver medal will be presented by Mr. Hans-Peter Sigrist, Head of Competition Sports Swiss Alpine Club. Silver medal representing Russia, Yulia Kaplina.
Here's Yulia Kaplina, world record holder, and until this evening, leader in the overall standings 2016. Being presented by her with her medal by the head of competitions for the Swiss Alpine Club.
The gold medal will be presented by Mr. Helmut Knabel, IFFC Vice President. Gold medal representing France, médaille d'or représentant la France. Applaudissements pour Anouk
And
Jobert.
taking the top step for the second week running, Anouk Jobert. Won in France, wins in Switzerland. Ignore those graphics, we are not in Berkeley, 1990. But that is Anouk Jobert.
Ladies and gentlemen,
There we go, Anouk Jobert wins ahead of Julia Kaplina in second. Elma Fleury takes the bronze medal here in Villars. For the second week running, Anouk Jobert will hear the French national anthem from the top step of the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, the World Cup medalist. Mesdames et messieurs,
We join Anouk
les
Jobert on the
médaillés
top
de la
step.
Coupe du Monde.
Next we will have the men's podium.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Reshuffle of the dignitaries, you can
welcome
see them there,
the
bottom
men
left of your screen.
Medalist of the
we
Villars
await our
IFFC
three medalists
World
this evening.
Cup 2016. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir les médaillés de la Coupe du Monde de Villars-sur-Olon, IFFC Vitesse 2016.
Three competitors led to the back of the podium. There we go, the spotlight's on them. Daniel Bouldering just having a bit of a boogie. Seems to have got over his slip in the big final quickly enough.
Bronze medalist representing Russia. Médaille de bronze représentant la Russie. Applaudissements pour Stanislas Kokorin.
Stanislav Kokorin takes the bronze medal, beat Dmitry Timofeev in the small final after some technical issues regarding false starts. The race had to be started again, but the result was the same as it was the first time. Kokorin won it, he takes the bronze.
The silver medal will be presented by Mr. Hans-Peter Sigrist, head of competition sports Swiss Alpine Club. Mesdames et messieurs, la médaille d'argent sera
As
remise
for the
par
women's, the
Hans-Peter
silver medal will be
Sigrist,
presented by the head of the Swiss
responsable
Alpine
des
Club's
sports
head
Swiss
of competition.
Alpin. Silver medal representing Ukraine. Médaille d'argent représentant l'Ukraine, Daniil Boldyriev.
Daniel Boldyrev takes silver, takes silver. Second place, slipped very low down in the final.
The gold medal will be presented by Mr. Marcos Colaris, IFFC President. La médaille d'or sera remise par le président de l'IFFC, Marcos Colaris. Gold medal representing Poland. Médaille d'or et représentant la Pologne, Marcin
There he is, Marcin
Zienski.
Zienski. Second win in 4 days, just like Anouk Jobert. presented with his medal by IFSC President Marco Scolaris. And he's been grinning the whole of the last 2 days. I wonder how long the grin will last this time. Now he's won 2 in 4 days. Fantastic achievement. Heartfelt congratulations between the competitors there.
Welcome the Poland national dancer.
This is the Polish national anthem.
Mesdames et messieurs, applaudissements pour les athlètes, s'il vous plaît. Please cheers your athletes. Congratulations, everyone.
The Polish national anthem replaced by some 80s style funk by the local DJ.
The men's speed
From
podium.
the sublime to the ridiculous.
Villars
Martin Zienski won't care though.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Half a week.
Merci beaucoup. On vous souhaite une bonne soirée.
Got 2 gold medals to put in the cabinet.
À partir de 10h pour la difficulté, les demi-finales avec les 26 meilleurs. Filles, 26 meilleurs garçons.
Whoa, a fantastic speed climbing final, plenty of surprises from start to finish. We are by no means finished with our climbing for now though. We will be live at 10 AM tomorrow morning Swiss time for the semi-finals of the men's and women's lead World Cup, and then at 8 PM we will have the finals. We hope you can join us then.
Plaisir, on va se régaler pour la deuxième journée. Congrats for all the climbers. So the result, if you go back